Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy United Energon Universe Core Class Megatron. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pickup or a pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Legacy United logo at the bottom of the box with Energon Universe Megatron in white text with a white Decepticon symbol. We also do have an open window displaying the figure when it would be in packaging. And if we do move to the top of the box, we have another Legacy United logo with a really cool image or artwork shot of Megatron in his Spaceship Alt Mode. And if we do move to the side of the packaging, we do have a close-up of Energon Megatron's Spaceship Alt Mode and Core Class in several different languages. And if we do move to the back of the box, the figure transforms in 11 steps. There's a product shot of him in his robot and his alt mode. And as for the final side of the packaging, we have half of the Legacy United artwork. So if you do get another core class from this Legacy United line and put both boxes together, you can complete the artwork. And that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. So here we have Energon Megatron in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with the head sculpt. I do like the dark gray for the entire helmet section, with really nice dark blue for the entire crest or crown section at the top of the head, with the white for the face and the orange for the eyes. I do like these really cool huge spikes at the shoulders with a nice dark black and light gray for the forearms and the more dark blue for the hands. And I love the huge wingspan or curved wings pretty much behind the back there. I think that creates for a really cool look at the front, but I'll take a closer look at the wings in just a sec. It's like that classic Decepticon symbol on the chest there, done in dark purple, and again more of that kind of creamy whitish gray color, and there's some more of that black and blue for the front of the legs, and some more black for the feet. And taking a look at that side profile there, overall not too bad. He does have a bit of a backpack with the wings there, but not really a complaint of mine. And of course the back of the wings looks so cool with those really nice glossy blue and silver paint apps and that nice bright green color for the tips of the wings. And there is about a hollowness with the back of the legs, but that is mostly due to transformation. And this is actually the cockpit or nose cone of the other mode. I really have no excuse, no reason why that should be that hollow. This space here is hollow because it actually goes around the head or the head sculpt of the figure, so that does make sense why there is a space there because it folds over the head. All of this area here, there should be no excuse of that much empty and open space. I think that looks really ugly and cheap in my opinion, so that's one area of the figure that I do have a problem with, but that is it for details. So now for articulation. The head can look side to side, it cannot tilt left or right, and it cannot look up or down. As for the wings, they can actually hinge forward and back. There's really no kind of up or down motion, really just kind of forward and back movement. As for the arms or in the shoulders, they can move out and in, forward and back. There is a bicep rotation and an elbow bend. Unfortunately, nothing out of the hand, and there's also nothing out of the waist. It's completely locked into place. And I think even if there was a waist on this figure, you probably wouldn't really be able to do much with it due to this massive backpack. So I really don't think it would have made that much of a difference if it even was on the figure. But as for the legs, they can kick forward. They can also kick back, and they can kick out to the side. There is some rotation at the top of the leg and at the top of the knee, mostly due to transformation. And there is a knee bend to a very good degree, but that looks absolutely horrible. Another major complaint of mine, just the gaps. There's a lot of open, ugly gaps. Some of them, of course, are visible from anywhere. Sometimes you'll see some gaps if you move some pieces like this. That does not look very good. And I really wouldn't be as bothered with this if it was in like, kind of a hidden place, like on the back of the figure, like those other areas, but this is pretty much a very core important area. Like if you're posing a figure, you're probably gonna use the knee bend at some point on either leg, so really unfortunate that's on one of those core very important areas. But of course, just straightening up the leg, there is really nothing out of the foot. The foot can fold in, but that's due to transformation. So let me just quickly straighten up the figure. And tolerance wise, actually it's pretty pretty good. I know there has been some complaints about people saying like the legs have been detaching from the knees. That's actually only happened once to me. I still do, of course, want to make a mention of it, just kind of to warn you. Sometimes when transforming the figure, the lower portion of the leg, kind of where the knee bends, that can actually kind of detach from the top of the leg because it's just held on by some friction nubs. Again, only happened once to me. It could be more common for other people, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a few copies, or it could be a very widespread problem. But other than that, the main core joints like the arms and the legs are actually really good. I would say the overall problem I have with this figure is there is just quite a few hollow gaps and open spaces that really would have been nice if they were filled in. I typically do lower my expectations, of course, and I do lower my, kind of critiques on the figure. I don't expect as much on the figure. I'm not as hard on the figure, but I think like the amount of hollow spaces on this core class are way too much than I can actually make an excuse for. There's a few things I'll give some slack on, like maybe, the weapons aren't as painted, they're not as detailed, the articulation isn't as good, but those huge spaces there, I really cannot give an excuse for. But as for accessories, I actually think this is one of the areas where it shines. He comes with 3 accessories. That's pretty good for a core class. So he does come with 2 identical green blasters, which can be stored in 3 different ways. I'm going to only show the 3 different ways on one of them, because of course the other one is the exact same way. So really no sense or reason to show both. So the first way is you can actually store at the shoulder with the typical post and port system. And I think that looks pretty cool. And the second way, you can actually still store it at the shoulder, but you can actually have the blaster, instead of pointing up, you can have it facing forward like so, which is probably my preferred way. And the final way, if you probably guessed it, is in his hand. Again, that same post that can just plug in his hand like so. And you can give him his small little pistol, which all the weapons are blaster piece compatible, in case you're wondering. And I'm actually going to bring out the second blaster so you can have him dual wield them, which is a pretty cool look as well. So just plug that into place. I think that looks pretty cool. And as for his final weapon or accessory, it's his small little tank blaster, which I have to say is actually pretty well sculpted. There's a lot of surface detailing, not a lot of paint, but if you do get close enough, you can see a lot of amazing sculpt work on such a small little piece. And this can just store on either form using that post and port system. You can just plug that into place like so. And there we have Megatron fully armored up. Let's now get down to some robot mode comparisons. So now for one big group comparison, here we have Energon Megatron compared alongside the other 2 core class figures from Legacy United Wave 1, that being Boulder Crash and Tasmania Kid. And let me know in the comments of all 3 brand new core class figures in Legacy United Wave 1, which one is your favorite? So now for transformation, what you're going to do is rotate the head all the way around like so. So now that the back of the head should be facing towards you and the front of the head or the face should be facing away from you, you should then go to the back of the figure, grab this entire nose cone and cockpit region of the alt mode, just fold this up and over the head like so. There is 2 tabs here and slots pretty much on the chest or the collar region of the figure that should just soft click into place like so. You can then go back again to the back of the figure. You're going to angle in the wings just to allow enough clearance to transform the arms and the legs. And just a sec, as you can see, there is this huge silver pin. You're going to swivel and rotate the entire wing section around, so the front of the wings are now facing forward or in the proper direction for the alt mode. You can then fold in the feet into those cavities at the back of the legs. Now we're going to transform the arms. You're going to grab the entire form, rotate at that ball joint or at that bicep swivel. You can use that ball joint and of course to bend at the elbow like so. And you can repeat the exact same step and process on the other side. So rotate the form and bend at the elbow. You can then rotate at the top of the leg. There is a tab right there and a slot at the shoulder. So you're just pretty much essentially tabbing the foot into the shoulder like so, nice and securely. And again, repeat the exact same step and process on the other side. So just tab the foot into the shoulder. Now this next step really kind of depends on the position or the angle you want the wings to be in, because of course, as you can see here, the hand or the form kind of props the wing up a little bit higher so they actually aren't angled too low. So if you want the wing to be a bit more high, you can keep the arm or the form in the position right now. But if you want them to be a bit more angled down, you can actually push the form back and they'll be a bit more angled down, which is typically what I like to do. And of course, once you've done that, you can just grab the wings, push these down like so. Same with the other one, and that is it for transformation. But as you can see, Megatron's Spaceship Alt Mode is definitely lacking in weaponry, and that's really where his accessories or weapons come into play. So as for his tank blaster accessory, there is 2 tabs on the top, and there is 2 slots underneath the weapon, and that should just tab into place nice and securely like so. And in case you're wondering, that weapon is blast piece compatible, so you can create some really cool flying action shots if you want to. But as for those 2 identical green pistols or blasters, you can store one on each side of the ship or each shoulder. There's that typical post and port system, and that should just plug right into place like so. And same with the other side. And that is it for accessories. Let's now take a look at the details. So here we have Energon Megatron in his Spaceship Alt Mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very front, I do like the super huge long front bridge or cockpit section of the ship with the really nice kind of light gray and silver, and I do like that black, green, and blue for the entire cockpit and front section there with the really cool huge blasters or kind of cannons done in that bright green. And I do love the huge tank section at the top, which again, all the weapons or these blasters you see here are blaster piece compatible. It's like the dark blue and silver paint apps for the wings with all those really cool kind of engines or tips at the back. And I have to say, for a core class, it is really well detailed. Typically, I do lower my expectations when it comes to core class because, of course, they cost less, which means, of course, they're not as, of course, pricey to actually build and make. The attention isn't as much for figures like these, but I'm actually thoroughly impressed with this figure. And the back doesn't look the greatest. As you can see, you can kind of see the hands there and the crotch, but from the front it actually looks really good. But if you do want to see what the bottom looks like, not too bad. Probably my biggest complaint is the entire front nose cone section is completely hollow. Not a big fan of that. And the head too, that doesn't bother me as much as this because this is a huge space, so probably my biggest complaint of the alt mode. But that is pretty much it for details, and I already did cover accessory storage, so let's now get down to some alt mode comparisons. Here he is with another core class from Legacy United Wave 1, that being Boulder Crash, and his separate review is already up on the channel. Make sure you go check it out after this one. And now for one other comparison, here he is with Tasmanian Kid, another core class from Legacy United Wave 1. I think they look pretty cool side by side. And now for some other Megatron comparisons, here he is with the Kingdom core class Megatron. And here he is with the Legacy core class G2 Megatron. And that is pretty much it for comparisons. So now for reverse transformation, what you want to do is remove all the accessories and put them off to the side. So you can remove this entire top tank blaster like so. Just wiggle this off the figure, and how this was attached is there is 2 slots underneath the tank blaster and 2 tabs on the actual figure, and you can just put that off to the side. Then you can remove the 2 identical green pistols or blasters with that typical post and port system. Remove the other one on the other side. Then what you can do is grab the wings, just hinge these up. This isn't a required step, just kind of allow some space and some free area to actually mess with the arms and legs to transform them. So then what you want to do is untab the leg from the shoulder and just angle this entire section back. You can then swivel at the top of the leg down like so. Then you can fold the foot out, and you can repeat the exact same step and process on their sides. Just untab the leg from the shoulder, swivel at the top of the leg, bring the foot out, and bring the leg back to the usual position. Then what you can do is bring the form out. You can rotate at the ball joint or the form right there. And then of course repeat the exact same step on the other side. So angle the form out, rotate it around, and there we go. And then what you can do is grab the entire wing section and swivel this entire section around. Grab the entire nose cone and cockpit region of the figure. Fold this entire section back and into place. And then let me just quickly straighten up the figure. And as for the very last step, as you can see, his head is facing the wrong way. So just rotate that around. And let me just place him down. And that is it for reverse transformation. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for my final thoughts on the Transformers Legacy United Core Class Energon Universe Megatron. Megatron is our very first Energon character introduced into the new Legacy line, and Hasbro wanted to start with the Core Class to test the waters and see if there's any demand for more Energon figures. I have to admit, I've always had mixed feelings when it comes to Transformers Energon. In my opinion, I think the show's probably my least favorite Transformers series ever, but at the same time, I really like the show designs. Starting at the Romo, I think Hasbro did a great job taking Megatron's Energon design and recreating it into toy form. I do have two complaints. Unfortunately, this figure suffers from hollow head syndrome, and second, whenever you bend the knee, it reveals this huge ugly gap, and at the same time, the leg can occasionally come untapped from the rest of the figure. As for accessories, Megatron includes two identical green pistols that can attach onto his shoulders or into his hands. His final accessory is his classic tank blaster, which can peg onto his form, and all the weapons are blaster piece compatible. Articulation is pretty good for a core class, and transformation is simple and fun. As for Megatron's Spaceship Alt Mode, I love the huge wings and the very angular design of the ship mixed with the nice blue and green paint apps. As for accessory storage, the two pistols can be stored on each wing and the tank stored on top. What do you think of this figure? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time.